Most people think Gateway API is just a replacement for Ingress, and that's not really the decision you need to make. The real question is which controller is actually handling your traffic, NGINX, Traefik or Istio, and that decision changes everything. Same Gateway API but completely different architectures. Let's first understand what Gateway API actually does. This is the gateway class. Think of this as the definition of which controller will handle your traffic. Then we have a gateway. This is your entry point into the cluster. All external traffic comes here first. Then we have a HTTP route. This defines how requests are routed. And finally, traffic reaches your services and then your application pods. Now here's the most important part. Gateway API defines this structure, but it does not implement it. The actual traffic handling is done by the controller behind the gateway class. And that's exactly what we are comparing today. Now imagine this. You keep the same gateway, same HTTP route, same YAML, but you just change the controller. So what actually changes? So the first thing that changes is how traffic actually flows inside your system. In some controller, traffic goes through a central proxy. In others, it might go through multiple layers or even a sidecar proxies inside every pod. So the path your request takes is completely different. Second, how routing decisions are applied. With some controller, routing is very static and predictable. With others, it's dynamic, constantly adapting to changes in your cluster. So even with the same HTTP route, the behavior can be very different. Third is how your system handles failure. What happens if service goes down? Does traffic retry automatically? Does it fail fast? Or does it reroute somewhere else? That behavior depends heavily on the controller you choose. And finally, how your entire system behaves in production. Performance, scaling, observability and security. All of this is influenced by the controller. So even though your YAML looks the same, but your system can behave completely different. And that's why this is not just a tool choice, it's an architecture decision. So let's start with the NGINX Gateway Fabric. So this is the architecture diagram for the NGINX Gateway Fabric. So the traffic comes from the client and goes through the load balancer and reaches to the NGINX Gateway Fabric. So this is the key part. NGINX acts as a central reverse proxy. From here, it directly routes traffic to your services and then your pods. Your Gateway API resources are translated by the NGINX controller into the routing rules. So what this means, NGINX Gateway Fabric is simple, predictable and easy to understand. So if you have used NGINX Ingress before, this will be very natural. So when does NGINX actually make sense? First, if you are migrating from Ingress. Second, if you want stability in your production. And third, if your team wants control without too much complexity. It mainly focuses on north-south traffic. That means traffic entering the cluster. Now let's look at the traffic. So this is the architecture diagram for the same. At the high level, the traffic flow looks similar. Client, load balancer, traffic, services and the pods. But the difference here is the traffic is designed to be dynamic. It listens to your Gateway API and the Kubernetes event and updates routing dynamically. So there is no heavy reloads, no complex config management. This makes traffic very developer friendly, fast to adapt and easy to change. So this is how traffic behaves. Dynamic, event driven, constantly adapting to the changes. Now the important question is, when should you actually use this? First, the traffic works really well for the fast moving traffic. If your team is constantly shipping changes, deploying new services or update routes frequently, traffic adapts to those changes very quickly. Second, environments with frequent deployments. Because traffic listens to your Kubernetes events, it automatically updates routing. So you don't need to manual reconfiguration every time something changes. And third is simpler environments. If you don't need very strict control or complex traffic policies, traffic gives you clean, lightweight setup that's easy to manage. So overall, traffic is optimized for speed and simplicity and no heavy control. But compared to NGINX Gateway Fabric, you get less strict control. So the trade-off is simplicity versus control. Now this is where the things change completely. We are going into the Istio. So in Istio, traffic enters through the Istio gateway, just like before. So in Istio, the traffic enters through the Istio gateway, just like before. But inside the cluster, we now have a service mesh. Each pod has an Envoy sidecar proxy. So instead of direct communication, traffic goes through these sidecars container. So this enables control to the internal traffic between the services. And all of these managed by the central control plane. So what you actually get with the Istio, first is MTLS between services. Every service to service communication is automatically encrypted. So even inside your cluster, traffic is secure by default. Second is advanced routing policies. So you can control exactly how traffic flows, split traffic between versions, or implement canary releases. This gives you much finer control than basic routing. Third is deep observability. So you can use how services communicate, track latency, monitor failures, all without adding extra code to your application. And finally, strong security. So you can define policies, control which service can talk to each other, and enforce strict access rule. So instead of just routing traffic, you are controlling the entire communication layer of the system. But this comes with complexity. Istio is best for large-scale systems, microservices architecture, and platform engineering setup. This is not just an ingress, this is the full traffic control. Now let's simplify everything we have discussed so far. So we have a same gateway API, same concepts and the same YAML structure, but we have a different controllers to manage our traffic. First we have a NGINX Gateway Fabric. Everything flows through a simple central proxy. This means routing is straightforward, behavior is predictable, and debugging is easier. So NGINX Gateway Fabric gives you control, stability, and simplicity. Now compare it with the traffic. At the high level, traffic flow looks similar. But internally it behaves differently because traffic is constantly watching your cluster. As soon as something changes, routes are updated automatically. So instead of strict control, you get flexibility, faster changes, and better developer experience. But the trade-off is slightly less predictability. Now look at the Istio. This is completely different model. Traffic doesn't go directly to the service anymore. It goes through a service mesh. Then every services has a sidecar proxy. So now you can control internal service communication, security between the services, and advanced routing policy. So this gives you full traffic control, deep observability, and stronger security. But this comes with a higher complexity. Now here's something most people miss. You can take same HTTP route and apply it to the all three. But look at the result. NGINX Gateway Fabric gives direct routing, Traefik gives dynamic routing, and Istio gives routed via sidecars. So the gateway API standardizes configuration, not the behavior. So a very common mistake is thinking, I will just change gateway class and I am done. But in reality, you are changing traffic flow, failure handling, scaling behavior, and debugging complexity. And this is the platform level decision. So how do you choose? So choose NGINX if you are migrating from Ingress, if you want stability, and if you prefer a predictable system. Choose Traefik if your teams move fast, you want simpler setup, and you value your developer experience. And choose Istio if you need service-to-service control, you want advanced security, and you are building a platform at scale. Gateway API doesn't remove complexity, it shifts the decision to you and the controller you choose. It defines your entire traffic architecture with same API but with completely different behavior in production. If you are already running Gateway API, tell me in the comment section which controller you are using and why. And if you want to go deeper, I have created a full playlist on NGINX Gateway Fabric on the channel from basics to TLS and to production setups. You can start there. And I have also covered Traefik and Istio in my upcoming videos. If you found this helpful, hit like, share it with your friends, and subscribe for more content like this. Thanks for watching. I will see you in the next one.